Hey there. Welcome to Grandfather Philosophy number 2. I'm out here on the patio today with my friend behind me. The thinking tank helps me contemplate philosophical matters. What I want to talk to you about today is just a little bit about what you saw in the video from last time, and then tell you really how we're going to go forward with this. That video contained that clip from on what is philosophy, and admittedly I believe that probably was a little complicated, but what I wanted to show you was the scope of philosophy and the nature of philosophy. I mean, philosophy covers everything. All knowledge springs from philosophy. It is the basis for our Western civilization thought. So it's deep and it's complicated. But if you watched it, you saw that there are 3 main branches of philosophy. Metaphysics, which is the heavy stuff. It deals with the nature of reality, why things are the way they are, what is the ultimate reality of the world. Epistemology, which is also deep. It deals with the nature of knowledge. How do we know things? How do we even know that we exist? Those again are deep questions. The third main branch of philosophy is value theory. And that's what we're going to focus on. How to live life well. That's the question. We're in the world. How do we live in the world? Now, we're going to be addressing 2 questions. What is happiness? What does it mean to be happy? And how do we achieve it? But first, I want to give you just a touch of metaphysics and epistemology. Imagine that we're out in the garden here, and you come upon a rose bush, and you're looking at it and how it grows, and you wonder, why is the rose bush this way and not some other way? As a matter of fact, why is everything in the world the way it is and not some other way? Why am I the way I am and not some other way? Why don't I have 4 legs and 1 big eye? Those are metaphysical questions, which we're not going there. And you look at that rose and you see what appears to be a red flower. And you wonder, is that redness in the flower? Or is it in my mind? What is red, anyway? That's an epistemological question. Does the rose bush even exist? How do I know that the rose bush exists? How do I know that I exist? We could all just be characters in a video game. Those are things we can wonder about, but what we're going to wonder about is how to live a good life. And we're going to do that by answering those 2 questions. What is happiness, and how do we achieve it? First, I want to tell you a little story. I was in the garden the other day, and I was thinking about this talk, and I thought to myself, this sounds like a lecture. Well, when I thought that word lecture, immediately in my mind, I thought of my grandfather. Now, have you ever heard a word or read a word and suddenly thought of an experience you have had? Does the word not just represent our experiences? That's an epistemological question. But anyway, back to my grandfather. I spent a lot of time with him when I was a kid. And what I remember is that 90% of the time he was lecturing me on some subject. Nearly drove me crazy. I don't remember anything that he said really, but I do believe that all of those lectures influenced how I became who I am today. They impacted the way I live my life. I think back on them, and it occurs to me that most of the time he was lecturing, he was talking to me about virtue. What is virtue? Well, what is virtue is a philosophical question. And that's what we're going to be looking at. It all boils down to character. What type of human being are you? So what we're going to do to answer these questions about happiness is we're going to look and see what the world's greatest thinkers have had to say about that. We're going to climb over the wall, and the first person we're going to run into is going to be Aristotle. And we're going to see what he has to say about virtue and about happiness. Next time, I want to talk to you about the meaning of the word happy or happiness. But here's what I'd like you to think about. What is happiness? Where do you find happiness? Is it just pleasure? Is it just some emotional moment of joy? Is it something you find in eating ice cream or wading in the creek? Or is that what happiness is? Or is there more to life than pleasure? Is happiness found in leading a life with meaning? Being helpful to others? Doing something that provides a greater meaning to your life than just pleasure? Is happiness accomplishing things? Is that how we live a happy life? Accomplishing things like maybe being invited to a state engineering championship. Is that happiness? Is happiness being involved in your work or your play or your activities, being engaged in life? Does that make a happy life? Or is happiness just being satisfied? I'm satisfied. Nothing really going bad, nothing really going that good, but, life is good. You know what I'd like you to do? Give me some examples that fit within those categories. Examples that you can think of in your life where you find happiness. And email me. Let me know. I got an email account for this now. It's called grandfatherphilosophy@gmail.com. So send me your ideas on happiness. Let me see where you are. And any questions you might have, or anything that you'd like Grandfather Philosopher to talk about. Anyway, I've attached a video clip about Aristotle. You'll find him interesting, especially number 1. That's most relevant. Watch that, and I will see you next time.